When I was at a very young age, my mother was a manager and a press agent in the theater, and I grew up in New York City. I've lived here all my life except for the 4 years that I was in Middletown, and I used to go to the theater at a very young age. Of the more than 25 productions I've done, the majority have been straight plays. I've done many more of them than musicals. I only have a preference for what I think is quality and what I think is going to work. They're very challenging because the audience is much more limited, and yet two of the productions that I've done have been the most successful commercially. Will Ferrell as George Bush on Broadway in You're Welcome, America, and August, Osage County. Audiences love that play. We were the second play to open after a 3-week strike in New York in 2007. It was a Steppenwolf production, and they're one of the finest theaters in the United States, if not the world, I would say. So there was excitement about it, but there was also a hunger to go to theater immediately after the strike. The critical response was overwhelming. So we, in a sense, hit a nerve at the right time, and this was a big, powerful, explosively funny play. And audiences loved it. We were the event of the season. The David Mamet relationship has been something that's very special and I cherish. David called me and he said, I have a new play that I've written. You know, I'd like to send it to you to read. You know, I felt, wow, I've just been called, you know, it's like Cheryl Crawford being called by Tennessee Williams or Kermit Bloomgarden by Arthur Miller. I called David back and I said, I'll do it, but send it to me. And it was a play called November, which was successful, which starred Nathan Lane, a comedy about the presidency, one of the great thrills of my life. David dedicated the play to me. I went to see a show in London. I saw this incredible crowd of young people, and you rarely see young people in front of the theater. I was curious, and they said, come and see the second act, and it was the complete works of William Shakespeare abridged. And I thought it was hilarious. I couldn't interest any of the clients that I worked for here to undertake a production, and they all said, you love it so much, why don't you give it a whirl? And so I did. I pursued the rights for a year, and then it was playing down at the Shakespeare Theater in Washington, D.C. By good coincidence, one of my closest friends at Wesleyan lived down there. Richard Gross, class of 1970, came to see it. He loved it, and Richard's a distinguished lawyer, and he said, you know, he always wanted to be involved in the theater, so we produced it. We went on to produce 3 other plays off Broadway: Mere Mortals, Never the Sinner, which won the Outer Critics Circle Award, and Things You Shouldn't Say Past Midnight. And subsequently, Richard has joined me in producing Enchanted April on Broadway. It's really wonderful when you're able to produce with people who you shared a memorable lifetime experience, and that is going to college, going to Wesleyan. Those 4 years are important. One grows up. Whenever I go back to Wesleyan, I feel young and inspired and full of hope again. I've never met anybody who hasn't gone to Wesleyan who hasn't said that they've had a wonderful time there.